All right, let's see. So we're headed over to YouTube, friends. Good morning, Pearl. All right, let me make sure this gets up and going. There it goes. Good morning. All right, Amanda, well, we're probably jumping the gun just a hair. I'll continue to kind of watch and monitor and get everyone in, but Allison invited you to come. You guys are connected through KW Wealth in the past and still friends and buddies. And Allison, actually, for those of you who don't know, has been in Botswana. She's had a really terrible couple of days traveling. I feel so bad for her. So anyways, I'm facilitating this morning. But Amanda agreed to come on and join us. And she's pivoting. She's in her car because she is worried about her Wi-Fi because she is in sleet and bad weather up in Virginia Beach area. So we're all kind of pivoting this morning. And so I'm going to let you take it away, Amanda. We're live streaming on YouTube. If you have questions, guys, feel free to jump in the chat and I will try to make sure that she gets those as well. So I will turn it over to you, Amanda. And we've got a good hard stop at 9 o'clock. So we'll see how much we can pump into 30 minutes.
Awesome. I appreciate you so much, Anna. So good morning, everybody. I'm so grateful to be here. Before we get started, I always think it's super important as a coach, as an instructor, as a speaker, that you all know why in the world you should be sitting here listening to me. I think our industry does a really bad job of people going, oh, I sold a house and now I'm going to go speak at a conference. And we're like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Why should I listen to you, right? And so just to give you the quick 30-second CNN version of my history, I've been in real estate a decade now. I come from hotel and hospitality management. So early on in my career life, I built hotels from the ground up. So very much into business building, understanding the different parts, the moving parts of businesses, hiring people, so on and so forth. Then I got into real estate in 2015, and I was hired on as an executive assistant to a guy who wanted to build it. And so for 6.5 years, that's what we did. We built a real estate team. We built it to about 30 people, about 312 sides, and about 125 million in volume. I tell you that because I've been through all of the crazy intricacies of building a team, the good and the bad. I could probably tell you more bad than good. But nonetheless, when I left him in September of 2021, I launched a coaching and consulting company. And so that's essentially what I do full time up until last year. So I have clients across the country, about 9 different brokerages in the United States, actually in Canada as well. And I coach every level. And so I love business building. I think our industry does a really good job of teaching us how to be salespeople. They don't do such a great job of teaching us how to run an effective business that, for the most important part, is profitable. And that's what we don't talk about enough. And so I want to talk to you about a concept today that will essentially, because this is the biggest, I feel like this is the biggest place that people pour their time into their business. And I don't feel like they do it as effectively as they can. So today we're going to talk about database in your business because it is a huge, or it should be. I mean, at the end of the day, I truly feel like when you decide you want to get out of real estate, you should have the option to sell this amazing asset that you have built. The problem is most people don't understand whether or not they have an asset or a liability because we don't value our businesses appropriately. We have no idea what they're worth, and we could never sell it to someone and actually get dividends on that for the rest of our life. That could be your retirement plan. So today I want to talk to you about database. And so regardless of what brokerage you're with, I know that everybody has heard of the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, right? And so I bring up that book particularly because there are concepts in there that I truly believe, but then there are concepts I think we should tweak. I think a little bit of it is outdated. And so when we think about a database, essentially, and if you remember back to the first day that you got in real estate, somebody somewhere told you, hey, take all the names and numbers that you have in your phone, put them in a spreadsheet, and that's now your database, right? And those individuals can come from family, they can come from past experiences, they can come from past jobs, they can come from people you went to school with, they can come from all different walks of life. It's essentially a group of people that you've inherited from your life experience. So you put them into a location, whether it be a spreadsheet back in the day, or now it's probably a CRM, and then you let them know that you got into real estate. Hey, I made a career move. I'm so excited to share it with you. And I'm curious, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell right now? For most of you, that's how the relationship started when you got into real estate. What we didn't do, though, probably was a good job of essentially auditing who we had in there and analyzing. And the problem that we have is we keep pouring into those people. Now, there's nothing wrong with pouring into those people, but what I want you to understand is if you are going to invest your time, energy, effort, and resources into that group of people, you better know whether or not they're going to return on your investment. And that's the biggest mistake that agents make. Is they're like, Amanda, I'm doing the 36 touches and I'm calling them quarterly and I'm popping by their houses with stuff and I'm inviting them to my client events, but I'm not really getting the reviews and the referrals that I'm looking for in my database. And I'm like, well, that makes sense to me because we haven't done a true audit on who those people are. And so I built a team on this. And so I'm very well versed in this. And so let's take a step back so I can give you some practical and tactical things you can take back to your database. First and foremost, you need to know who's in there. So step one is how many people are in my database that I truly am calling my sphere of influence. And I think one of the common mistakes real estate agents make is they use database and sphere of influence interchangeably, and they're not. Your database are contacts that could potentially be viable leads. Maybe you have relationships. There's a mix of a whole bunch of people, but your sphere of influence are actually people that you have influence over. And those are the people that you should be pouring into at the highest level. Those are the people you're spending dollars on. But you're only doing it because you know beyond a shadow of a doubt they are going to return on your investment. So once we've identified who our sphere of influence is, or that group of people, then I want you to break them down into three categories: A's, B's, and C's. Now, here's what I can tell you about those three categories and what they all have in common. The first thing that all three of them have in common is that you have completed and updated contact information for those individuals: name, phone number, email address, physical address. But more than that, you know their birthdays, you know their familial status, you know their spouse's names, you know their dog, you know what they do for work. Work is a super important one. What do they do for a living? You know where they like to have fun. Now, with that sphere of influence, if you've never heard of Dunbar's law, it's essentially a law that tells you how many people you can have intimate relationships with before your brain's at capacity. And that number is typically around 150 to 200. Now, you could have 500 acquaintances and you could recognize 1,500 people by their face, but knowing individuals intimately on the level that I want you to know them at, 150 to 200 before your brain's at capacity. And you're like, wait, what is that again? Who is that again? So you want to make sure this 150 to 200 people, this sphere of influence group, you know everything about. So that's the first thing they have in common. You have completed and updated contact information, and it goes so far beyond just the four pieces that you would typically grab. I want birthdays, I want anniversaries, I want it all. The second thing that they have in common, and this is where the agents miss out the most, is they have pledged their undying allegiance to you. They have pledged their undying allegiance to you. Now, if you're like, well, Amanda, how would I know if they've pledged their undying allegiance to me? Great question, because you had to have asked them. And I've got a script for this, Anna. Remind me, I'll send it to you. This is a chosen one script that everybody who is in your sphere of influence or who you intend to put into your sphere of influence, you should ask this question. Your mama, your daddy, your cousin, your husband, your wife, your partner, all of them should be asked this question. And I'll tell you, I missed the boat on this with my mom. She was in a different state and she was getting ready to sell her house. And she called me to let me know that she was about to hire a realtor. And I was like, what? Why didn't you call me first? And she's like, well, because you're licensed in Florida and I'm in Alabama. I should have asked her the chosen one question, because had I asked her the chosen one question, she would have known that I have a referral network across the country and I could have found her that agent in Alabama. But instead, I didn't, because she's my mom. And I assumed that anytime she had a real estate need, she'd call me first, right? And we do that with everyone in our sphere of influence, but that's not fair. So you have to ask them the chosen one question. And simply put, the chosen one question is this. Hey, Blair, I'm curious, when you have a real estate need, who do you call first? Not who's looking to buy or sell or invest. Not are you looking to buy or sell, invest. Not who have you run into. When you or someone you know has a real estate need, who do you call first? And they're going to give you one of four answers. Now, feel free to take notes, but I'm going to send you guys this script with all of the objection handlers that go along with it. Answer number one is, well, you know, Amanda, I've got someone. Awesome. I have spent the majority of my adult life in Tampa Bay. And if you know anything about Tampa Bay, it's like the 5 boroughs of New York. Like you could sell in St. Pete, but you won't go to South Tampa. You could sell in Hernando County, but you won't go to Pasco County. So when someone tells me they have someone, I don't stop there. My first follow-up question is, Blair, that's awesome. And I'm curious, do they cover all 5 counties in Tampa Bay? Well, I know they cover St. Pete. Okay, cool. So when you have a need in any one of the other locations, who do you call? Well, gosh, Amanda, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't have anyone. Great. How do I become that person for you? Or you might live in a smaller town. And in that smaller town, they do the person that they have for their real estate needs does cover every area. You still ask the follow-up question. Hey, Blair, I'm curious. When that individual is sick, God forbid, or maybe needs some downtime, who's your plan B? Because I'd love to be that. Right? So that's the first answer. Who do you have? I already have someone. Number 2 is, well, gosh, Amanda, now that I think about it, I don't really have anyone that I call. You know what? This is a fantastic opportunity, Blair. How do I become that person for you? I'd love to grab coffee, meet you for lunch, tell you what I do to help my clients really in building wealth with real estate. Number 3 is going to be, well, gosh, Blair, now that you told me you're in real estate and I know that, you're my person. And I'm going to give you immense gratitude for that. And then I'm going to add you to my sphere of influence and I'm going to start building on that relationship. The number 4 answer that you could potentially get is, you know what, Amanda, I really don't refer people. I don't like to put my name on anyone. Cool, completely understand and respect that. But I'm curious, Blair, when you yourself have a real estate need, who do you call first? That's it. You're only going to get 1 of 4 answers. And those are the objection handlers. I'll be happy to pass that script along. But until you have asked everyone in your sphere of influence, and I want you to hear me loud and clear, you have not earned the right to hold them accountable to using you as a real estate agent. And that's what we do. We do a newsletter, we send it out to our database, and then Sally sells with someone else, and then all of a sudden you're mad and she's dead to you. Well, respectfully, you held her accountable to something she did not commit to. You haven't earned the right to hold her accountable. So it is imperative that you ask everybody this question. And only when they pledge their undying allegiance to you with one of those answers can you then hold them accountable to giving you awesome reviews and sending you referrals. Now, how many people have actually done that in their sphere of influence? Yeah. So now I know what all of your homework is when you leave this call. You got to go back and ask the chosen one question.
Hey, how you doing?
Someone's excited.
Hey, how are you? Not bad. Hey,
Someone's unmuted.
better than yesterday. Yes,
Miss Wendy, I think you're on me. Oh, there you go. All right. Okay, so now that we're clear. So remember, we're talking about our groups, A's, B's, and C's within our sphere of influence. So what do they have in common? We've got completed and updated extensive information for them. We've asked them the chosen one question. Now, what they don't have in common is each one of those tiers, A, B, and C, is going to be good for a certain number of closed business. Now, if you're a brand new agent and you're like, well, Amanda, I haven't closed any business. Cool. We're going to work towards that. Remember, I told you that I ran a team that did 312 sides a year. Before I left, we were in business 6.5 years. So our group A's were good for 3 to 5 closed pieces of business a year. Our group B's were good for at least 2 pieces of closed business a year. Now, hear me when I say closed business, not referrals. And C's had pledged their undying allegiance to us, but they weren't good for any closed pieces of business yet. And the reason that these categories, now, if you're like, Amanda, we don't do that many units. Well, maybe for you, A's are good for 1 piece of closed business. B's have pledged your undying allegiance, but they haven't really used you. Maybe they referred you someone, and C's are just getting started. Either way, the goal in this is that you are auditing it minimum quarterly. And you should be graduating your C's to B's and B's to A's, but you should also be demoting A's to B's and B's to C's. If we do not hold our sphere of influence accountable at this level, what happens is we start pouring tons of money and energy and time and effort into them, and they're not returning on our investment. And then 6 or 9 months down the road, you got to go get a real job. If you do not treat your database like a business, this is what will happen. And I've done this for 10 years, and I can tell you this is what happens every time. Well, I've been popping by all my people. Oh my gosh, how much are your pop buys? About $25 a pop by. How many times do you do it a year? 4 times a year? Well, no wonder. How many deals have you closed from your database? 2. Not good. So we have got to be auditing this on a regular basis. Now I'm going to pause there because I just gave you a whole lot of information and I can see your faces. What questions do we have? What are our concerns? Does anyone want to give me an objection around that? I'm so happy to talk through this process, but this is how we need to treat our database. This is how we need to treat our sphere of influence.
I was just gonna say, I'm a Buffini certified mentor. That's where my business was built. But you shifted the perspective because I've always had a hard time defining A's, B's, and C's in my database when I'm trying to train other agents. And so I do it more loose. I'm like, they've used us, they've referred us multiple times, but to really go in and say, okay, we closed 187 sides last year. Like now I need to look at this database and say, who was the result of 4 to 5 deals, not just they've like the arbitrary feeling of they have actually sent us business, but like actually we know what percentage of our business was actually sent from them. So that was really big. Thank you. Because I usually don't get a lot out of sphere calls because like I feel like I've done a lot. And so thank you, my friend. So I appreciate you.
Well, and so here's the deal, right? If we go back to what was the first criteria of each category, is that we have extensive completed information from them. When we do that, it makes our follow-up so easy. It makes our pop buy so easy. We can stay in front of them more than just 4 calls a year with, hey, just checking in and seeing how you're doing. That call is so stale. And we feel weird making it, and we feel like we're bothering people because it's like you don't have any. You know why you feel weird doing that call? Because you don't feel like you're bringing any value. But when I can call Blair and be like, oh my gosh, Blair, I totally see the promotion that you got last week. How incredible is that? I wanted to give you a call because you're on my mind. Tell me about the new job. She's like, dang, I love getting Amanda's calls because every time she calls me, it's relevant about something that's happening in my life. Or you know what, Victoria? I think it's awesome that Johnny won first place in his soccer match. That is incredible. I'm actually popping something in the mail for you guys. Let me know when you get it. Victoria's going to answer my call every single time. But if I don't know that information about her, I know nothing about her life. The only thing I can call with is, hey, just checking in. It's that time of year again. Do I still have the right email address? How many of us are doing that call? It's stale. It feels weird. It feels awkward. And you're like, please don't answer. Please don't answer. Please don't answer. Right? That's not how we should be treating this. And on the other end of the phone, they're like, man, every time I see Amanda's name, I want to pick it up because she's always adding value to my life. So now this is just one concept. Sorry, my computer's going off. Goodness gracious, I clearly have a lot of meetings. So this is just one concept. So the people that I've been talking about up until this point, again, are people that you've probably inherited from other walks of life. But if we were going to identify this group with one word, this would be like consumers, people who are directly transacting in real estate. Now, here's where I want to shift your perspective because we've got those individuals, we've inherited them, that's great. But remember, one of the biggest responsibilities we have for our sphere of influence, because we're demoting, but we're promoting also, right, to each category, is we got to keep feeding it. And so this is a great opportunity for every single one of you. And this is what changes. I remember it was about year 3 in building our real estate team where you could see, like, we literally doubled in a year. And it was because we took this concept. And that is business professionals. So you're in real estate, you're going to have to deal with consumers. But what if we went and started building relationships with business professionals? What would that look like? So as morbid as this sounds, death, divorce, and disease all come with a real estate transaction. Doesn't matter what kind of market we're in. It doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter. People are, as horrible as it sounds, people are still going to die. People are still going to get sick. People are still, like, that's just going to happen. People are still going to get divorced. They don't care if we're going through COVID or it's Christmas. It's going to happen. So if you were to ask yourself, well, death, divorce, and disease, what type of professions are those? Probate attorneys, family law attorneys, divorce attorneys, right? Estate planning attorneys. So what if I went and built a relationship with a probate attorney? Then I'm doing a one-to-one business building, right? But the ratio on the amount of leads I'm getting in from that one relationship is huge. And this is what we did. We got really big into the attorney community. We started building relationships with attorneys, probate attorneys, family law attorneys, divorce attorneys, estate planning attorneys. Now, here's what I'll tell you about attorneys. They are a rare breed to network with. They're typically a DC on the chart, and they're very dry. So you want to get in with their paralegal or whoever's their protector of time. But ultimately, you want to build that relationship because then we were getting 5 to 10 leads a month from some of these guys because people are still dying and they're still getting divorced and they're still getting sick. Now, what are some other professions outside of that? I live in the retirement capital of the country. So for me, directors of assisted living facilities, when someone goes into an old folks home, they typically have to sell a house, right? Financial advisors, they deal with clients who have high net wealth. And when you have money, what do you want to do? You want to deal in real estate. And other ones that may not come top of mind, like my hairdresser. Everybody sits in that woman's chair and spills their guts. She knows who's getting married, who's having a baby, who's getting divorced, who's cheating. I want to be the person that she refers when they're like, yep, he cheated, got to sell a house now. Cool, call Amanda, right? So my criteria for getting into business with business professionals is they've got to be entrepreneurial, because entrepreneurs, they understand and respect the referral game. They're building their businesses on referrals just like you are. Where direct to consumer, which remember we can't avoid, but direct to consumer, typically it's a longer relationship building period. You got to build trust, and they want to read your reviews. And when you sit down with a business professional and you're like, hey, listen, you got an awesome business, I got an awesome business, we seem to click, let's see how we can help each other. You expedite that process, and they're like, cool, let me send you a referral, you send me a referral, we'll see how it goes. And then it ends up being really great. Cool, now you've got a business partner that's sending you tons of leads. So what are some other ones? CPAs, tax attorneys, tax advisors, tax strategists, or tax advisors. These aren't your normal like lenders, title companies, home warranty people. While those are good, I'm not looking at those individuals for leads. I want sponsorships and joint ventures and stuff like that with them. For me, I want to go maybe not outside of the industry, but outside of the norm. So like people who do landscaping and architecture and painting, typically those are things that sellers are going to do before they're thinking about selling a house. So you want to know. So think about who's entrepreneurial that I can build a relationship with because they understand referrals. And how do I go add those people to my database and start building relationships? And then here's how that would look. So Amy, you are an attorney that I got into a relationship with. We sit down and we have coffee. And I say, hey, listen, you've got an awesome business. I'm so excited to be here sitting with you. I want to know more about you. You know what I run them through? I run them through Ford. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your occupation. Tell me about your recreation. What do you do for fun? And tell me what your goals are for the next year. It's all I'm doing. We do it with buyers all day long. So all I do is run them through Ford. And as we're sitting at that meeting, I'm taking notes. Well, you know, Amanda, this year in my business, I've really been struggling. We need to hire an admin and I just can't find the right talent. Noted. You know what? My family and I have really been trying to do a vacation to Costa Rica for the past 18 months, but we just haven't gotten it on the calendar. Noted. You know what? I do want to buy another investment property within the next 12 months. Noted. I'm making notes of all of this. And then this is how I follow up with Amy. So I get back to my office and I send her a handwritten note about how awesome it was to meet her. And I send her a text message about how awesome it was to meet her. And then 2 weeks from now, I send her an email and I'm like, hey, Amy, I hope you're having a great week. Listen, you crossed my mind. I remember when we were sitting down for coffee and you made mention about you and your family wanting to go to Costa Rica. Well, fun fact, it's my favorite place. Been twice. I will own real estate there one day. And my travel agent was exceptional. So if you have any questions about where to go, what to see, or you want to call my travel agent, I've included her information in this email. Let me know what your thoughts are. And then a month from now, hey, Amy, girl, you were on my mind. I hope you are having the best week ever. Listen, I remember when we sat down for coffee last month and you made mention that you're really struggling with hiring talent in your business. Let me tell you, I've been hiring talent for the last 10 years. Here's a tool that really works for me. And this is what I put in my job ads that I put out there. Read through it. Let me know if you have any questions. Give me a call. And then a month later, hey, Amy. And every time Amy gets a phone call from me or gets an email from me, what am I doing? I'm adding value. And this is the magic formula for these relationships. So write this down. R like Robert plus V like Victor plus V like Victor. Then draw a line. And underneath that line, put the letter T. This is what that stands for. Relationships plus value gaps plus validity over time. So when I sat down with Amy, she told me all of her value gaps: Costa Rica, hiring an admin, wanting to buy an investment property. So what I do in my follow-up is I identify the value gap she explained to me, and I show my validity in that area. I've got a travel agent for Costa Rica. I've got a tool to hire people. I've got a wealth building tool for your investment property. And I don't know if it's going to be email 2 or 3 or 10, but eventually Amy's going to look up and she's going to go, holy cow, Amanda, every time you reach out to me, it's relevant and it's value. Listen, I just had someone reach out to me. They need to buy a house. I'm going to send them your way. This is how we build the business relationships. No different than the way that we talk to clients. It just expedites the process. So with 3 minutes left, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you have not called everyone in your sphere of influence with the chosen one question, Anna will send you the script as soon as I send it to her. You call everyone with that chosen one script. Then number 2 is start making a list. I call it my professional hit list. What are the professions that I need to go meet and build relationships with? Estate planning attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, all of the things, and then go figure out where to find those people. I'll tell you the 2 tools that work best for me are Facebook events, because I can see networking in my area, entrepreneurs networking. And the other one that works really well for me is Meetup. So the application Meetup, MEETUP. So you know who you need to go meet. Now ask where you can find them and go find these people, build relationships. The best way to find them is to call your current database and say, you know what, Victoria, while I have you on the phone, I'm really looking for an awesome financial advisor. Who do you know that I should know? Because when Victoria gives me a referral and I call them and I'm like, Victoria told me I had to call you. Guess what? I got 1 foot in the door and I'm probably getting a call back. You might already have these people in your sphere of influence and you don't even know it yet. All right. Was this valuable? Yay. If anyone wants to follow up on any of this, Anna's got my contact information. This is what I do for a living. I coach real estate agents all day long. So if you want to have a call, if you're willing to do the homework and you want me to take a look at something, reach out to me. I'm happy to take the conversation further. I know we only had 30 minutes together. So
Thank
all right,
you
Anna.
so much. That was amazing. Yes, friends on Zoom. It was
Good.
a packed 30 minutes. Recording will be on YouTube. So if you need to go back and digest a little bit more of this, again, go see it. Amanda, thank you for your time. Thank you for getting in your car and participating with us. Enjoy your 9 o'clock call.